Husseini. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce a very important person in Islamic University, the convener of SMG IUCG Collective. He doubles as the Chief Justice for Islamic University College Ghana, President for APSAG, and my personal Imam. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let us welcome Sheikh Kafada Abdul Nasir Usman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome the honorable speakers, invited guests, comrades, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you once again to this important intellectual forum organized by the Socialist Movement of Ghana in collaboration with the SMG IUCG Collective under the theme, The Role of Iran in the Struggle Against Imperialism. Today's gathering is not merely an event, but a platform for critical reflection, dialogue, and political consciousness on some of the most pressing issues shaping our contemporary world. At a time when questions of sovereignty, resistance, justice, and global power continue to dominate international discourse, this forum seeks to deepen our understanding and encourage meaningful engagement. We are deeply honored by the presence of our distinguished speakers and all participants gathered here this morning. Your presence alone demonstrates the importance of intellectual discussion in shaping informed and conscious society. On behalf of myself and the organizers, I once again warmly welcome you all and wish us a successful and impactful program. Viva Socialism, viva! Viva Socialism, viva! Abash capitalism, abash! Abash capitalism, abash! Away you two! Amandla! 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 Thank you very much for your response. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A wonderful submission by His Lordship Kafada Abdul Nasir Uthman. Thank you so much. Mr. Anas Sandu, please give us a wave, sir. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, we have Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr. Thank you for joining us, sir. Please give us a wave. Thank you, sir. We have Hajia Murjana. Thank you for joining us today. Please give us a wave. Thank you. We have Comrade Sumaila. Please give us a wave if you are here. We have Comrade Huzaif. Comrade Huzaif Badr. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. That is going to be by Dr. Mustafa Munir on the topic Historical Roots, Iran's Anti-Imperialist Struggle from Colonial Encounters to the 1979 Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let us welcome Dr. Mustafa Munir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah. Thumma salatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya habibina wa habibi ilahi alamin Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى آل بيته الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for organizing this beautiful occasion, and we hope we are going to benefit one another concerning all the topics that are mentioned here. So you really done a great job for organizing this occasion, and you will be rewarded by Allah abundantly, inshallah. May the reward of Allah get to you all. According to the topic that is given to me, that is the historical roots of Iran anti-imperialist struggle. This is the main topic. But from the colonial era to the revolution, in fact, this is a very vast period that I cannot stand here and then said all what has happened during this era. So what I did is I tried to summarize everything just by headlines so that we will know the roadmap from where it started and where we are today. And secondly, this topic is not a mathematics that we are coming to calculate and then get the result. All what is about is historical, something that happened, and we are to convey it to you people. So here, the only skills needed is that how to convey it. Otherwise, we don't have new thing to add or to remove something from it. But what we can do is to analyze. But I don't think I will be having much time to analyze what has happened. So without much ado, if we look at the topic, in fact, the whole history of Iran up till today, we can group it into three. We said we can group it, so there will be a sub-groups. So it starts from the prehistoric period. We know human being has two types of history. We have the era before history and the era after history. The era before history is whereby mankind cannot read and write. So he used science alignment to know things that he wants. And I quite remember that they used to tell us that if somebody is having 10 sheep or cows, he represents each cow with one stone. So if a cow is missing, he will use the stone to know the number of cows that he has, and he will know that one cow has missing. So this is the era that history is not documented, nothing is not written, and we Africans are the big victims here because our forefathers did not write, did not read. So what they had, they took it away, so we couldn't inherit their knowledge. So this was the first period where these Iranians were living. In fact, when it comes to their descendant, their root, Iranians, they relate with the Germans from the Russians area, that is the USSR, that Russian lands. So when they were migrating, they divided, and some went to the Iranian part, and then some went in the Germans. But this issue is being disputed by the Iranians themselves, that some of them think that they have nothing, any relationship with the Germans. But some of them still insisting that no, Iranians and Germans, they are sharing ancestral background. And the second part, and this part is the 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. That is the first millennium. And then the second part started during the first part of the second millennium, which is a prehistoric period, whereby Iranians start to gather at one place and live as a family. In fact, if you go to read about this period, the writer will tell you that there is no any written books that reveal this secret, but they reveal them through archaeology. They went and did this research, and from there they got this clue and were able to write this history of Iranians. And then the last part of this 3 period is the where the Iranian Empire started. That is Achaemenid. In Iranians they said Achaemenid, but in English the pronunciation is a little bit difficult, like Achaemenid. This Achaemenid period is the where Iranian Empire started, and this is where Iranians has become full in the early life of history, whereby people can write and can read, they can do a research, and they can do a lot of things. So this period is a turning point in an Iranian history. And you know, wherever you live, the condition that prevail in that area is the one who tell you how to think, how to put yourself, and the challenges that you are facing. So in fact, this period was a period of building nations, or nation building. And nation building was about to fight and conquer a land. If you conquer a land, you prove that you are a strong empire. So this period also started from the 6th century before the birth of Christ. So at here, Iranians started building empire, started conquering, nations, and expanding. But during this period, they faced a strong, another empire who was very strong, that is the Greek Empire, Alexander the Great. So Alexander the Great was the first person who was able to conquer the Iranian Empire. And as you know, if you conquer somebody, you don't drive him away from the land, but the person still lives in the land, but he lives under your authority. And he becomes as like a vassal state. He need to provide you with all whatever you request from him, so that you will protect him if there is an enemy from outside who is to attack him. But after the death of Alexander, these Iranians, they mobilized themselves, rise up again, fought against the Greek, and take their land back and became independent under the Greek Empire. So Iranians and the Greeks, in fact, I can say that the fight between them lasted for centuries, because it is not for once. Anytime they fight, the other win, the other lose. Then sometimes it is a vice versa. So they used to fight all these things. So from here, Iranians came to a stable point whereby nobody can conquer them. So they have here clans and tribes from different angles living in the same land. So they form a different, ethnic groups. And all of them, they are regarded as Iranians living under one empire. So sometimes there are what we call today coup d'etat, internal fight, problems. Maybe a son will conquer the father and become an empire. Why is it happening? Because it was like a family. If a family conquered, for example, if we want to give example, a real example today, it is like the royal family of Saudi Arabia. if you are not part of the Masaud, the one who formed the nation Saudi Arabia, before Saudi Arabia it is called Hijaz. But when Masaud conquered, he put his name on the country to replace the Hijaz. That is why we still have some people in Saudi Arabia. If you ask him, where are you coming from, he will never tell you that I'm coming from Saudi Arabia. He will tell you I'm coming from Hijaz. And sometimes if you insist that he is coming from Saudi Arabia, in fact it will tend to exchange of blow, because we have people, and I met some of them, they don't want to hear that they are coming from Saudi Arabia. They are coming from Hijaz. So Saudi Arabia means the Masaud family are the people who are to govern. So if you are not part of the family, you will never get any governmental post. Maybe unless your skills that you have can earn you a position in the government. So the family is there. They will put up a prime minister, then the prime minister will form a government. So the prime minister will be ruling the government on behalf of the family. So the family, they don't need any salary, because whatever is there is for them. They can take what they want, how much they want, nobody will question them. So in fact, this is a copy of the previous empire. So like, for example, this Khameneshin, it was a family led by somebody. So after his death, his children took over. Then his grandchildren also come, till another family came and said, no, we are not going to accept to be ruled by a one family. So after the Khameneshin, we have another family called Sasanian. They came and also took over from this. But you see, it's a two faces. You fight internally and you fight externally. You fight internally to prevent your leadership as an empire, and you fight externally to increase lands, so that you want to extend your empire. So these people also came, starting from 224 to 651. Why am I going back? This one you need to go and read how date is being written before the birth of Christ. After the birth of Christ, we get up to what we have, 2026. But before Christ, how our dates were written, we need to go and do research about that. Because before Christ, dates were written or read it's like counting down. We don't count forward. But after Christ, it changed from counting down to counting up. So that is why you see me mentioning the date like that. So they also came, they ruled the government based on the what? Being on empire. And their aim is to establish themselves and also to extend their land. And in fact, places like Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, this stand that you hear, most of them or all of them were part of the Iranian Empire. So the countries that I can mention today, which are not part of the Iranian Empire, is places like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and this side like Iraq. That time Iraq was known as Babylon, and Iranians were known as Persia. And that time there is no name about this Arabian Peninsula. You will never hear anything about that. So in fact, it was a very huge country. And to control a huge country with different tribal background is very, very difficult. So this led for Iran to be losing some of its territory, and even some countries became independent. And today they still claim that there are some lands in Iran, it belongs to them, and they want to take them from Iran. And Iranians are vowing that the geographical boundaries that they have today, no one on this earth will be able to take something from it. If they cannot increase it, it will not be deducted. Then we came to a very important portion of this historical development. We came to a period of the Safawis. Safawi was a period like whereby Iran tried to establish itself in terms of everything, including religious aspects. So in fact, this Safawi, he set his capital, there is a city in Iran called Esfahan. So Esfahan was served as a capital city of this range of Safawi, and during the reign of Safawi, Iranians have already accepted Islam. So this happened after Islam. But here, there are some people, all of us, we heard it, that Iranians are the worshippers of fire. Meanwhile, this is a wrong interpretation. Why is it wrong interpretation? In fact, if we go back to the Holy Bible, before the birth of Jesus Christ, we have issue concerning two Iranians who came from Persia to witness the birth of Jesus Christ. So if they are worshippers of fire, why should some of them come to the Jerusalem to bear witness or to witness the birth of Jesus Christ? This is one reason that shows that Iranians were not people who were worshipping only, who were majority worshipping fire. It is not like that. If we come back to the issue of fire, Iranians were not worshipping fire, but they were worshipping light. That is the group called Zoroastrians, because they think that everything is about purity. And you read in the Islamic history that when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, that fire in Persia went off. Maybe you heard this history, all of you, especially those who have passed through Islamic history concerning the birth of the Holy Prophet. Those days, there were not electricity. So the only means to get a light is to do what? To set a fire. So that is why they set up the fire and worshipping light, not worshipping fire. Though there are so many problems when it comes to the Zoroastrian as a whole, they still have, but there are still there, we still have people who worship the light, and the government has nothing to do with them. He has given them all their freedom. But sometimes there are some abnormal things that happen, so the government need to interfere. So during the period of Safawi, Iranians has already accepted Islam, and the one who sent them Islam is the Khulafa Rashidin, because that time the empire of Iran started to, the size of the empire or the land started crashing or reducing little by little. And the only country that conquered Iran up to Iraq, Baghdad, is Mongolia. Mongolia was a very big empire, and these days, during the war between Iran, America and Israel, maybe you heard Netanyahu saying that Jesus Christ is not stronger than Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, you can search and ask yourself, who is this Genghis Khan? Genghis Khan is one of the greatest empire of Mongolia. So he was the one who fought from Mongolia up to Baghdad and conquered the whole area. But what happened? In fact, because Iranians already accepted Islam and they were conquered, but they were able to turn these Mongolians into Muslims. Meanwhile, Mongolians, they did a lot of criminal activity when conquered. They burnt a lot of Islamic library in Baghdad, a lot of books. And even today, some of the problems that we have in Islam, I can say part of it, or some of them, is because of the war that the Mongolians fought against Muslims and were able to conquer them. Because they burnt some of the books, or most of the libraries were burnt, and some of the hadiths of the Holy Prophet are missing. We don't have them. Even today, there are some scholars who live in the latest century. They will tell you that he has a lot of books, but some of them are not there. What happened? It's because of these wars that we were ranging one after the other. So during the time of Safawi, Iran, being governed under empire, has come into under central government led by two things. One of them is centralization of governance, and second is everything must go according to the Shia teachings. So that is why if you listen to some people, they will tell you that Islamic revolution is a copy of the Safawi's regime. Meanwhile, why are they saying that? Because this period of Safawi, everything was Islamica. Everything was according to Islam. And which kind of sect was based on the Shia sect. But this Safawi also, at the 8th century, which is 1732, the Safawi Empire ends. So from here, we have a new era. What is the new era? The beginning of the kingdoms, whereby, because we used to have the empire, then came Safawi, turned everything into Islam. Then after Safawi, everything also turned into what? Kingdom. So we have so many kingdoms, which we have the the Qaujari kingdom up to the Pahlavi kingdom. The Pahlavi kingdom is the last monarchy of Iranians, where before the formation of the Islamic revolution. In fact, this period has its significance, its contribution to human values. Most of the things that, some of them I can mention is, Iranians were good in when it comes to poetry, philosophy, science, history, governance, archaeology. In fact, Iranians were good in this. And even some of the inventions that we have in terms of chemical invention, astronomy, most of them were Iranians. Even today in Islam, we are boasting with 6 authentic books, which is Bukhari, Muslim, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawood, all these authentic books. The authors who wrote these books are from Iran. One is from Kazwin, one is from Nishabur. All these cities are current Iranian city today that we have. So Iran has contributed a much into the development of the world and then human value that we have today. So from here and comes the era of 1979, when Imam Khomeini rose up and kicked the end of the Pahlavi, kingdom. Then we enter into the era that we have today. So Imam Khomeini is not the only person, or is not the first person who had an ambition or aims to establish an Islamic nation based on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. No, the Safawis were the people who Because when they were building the nations, extending their lands, it's just to serve human being, excuse me to say, like an animal. Give him a food, give him a place to sleep, let him be comfortable. Where is a religion? Where is the rule of Allah? So the Safawids tried to brought it in, but they couldn't succeed. But they were able to implement some. Even Avicenna was part of this government, which we call Ibn Sina, was a part of the government of what? Safawids. But after Safawids, they went back to the monarchy. Then Imam Khomeini came and threw the monarchy away. Then we came back to the Islamic Revolution of Iran in 1979. Due to time, I would have wanted to explain what is the meaning of republic and what is the meaning of Islamic, because it is Islamic Revolution of Iran. So here we have we call it what? Jamhuriyat Islamiyya, Islamic Republic. What is Islamic and what is Republic? There are two phrases together. How did Imam Khomeini combine all of them, these two, to form a one government? In fact, it needs some technical explanation, and I hope next time I will have chance to explain this so that people will understand. And whoever tells you that the Ayatollah carry the final says in Iran, tell him that he is a liar. Whoever says that Ayatollah carries the final says in Iran, tell him that he is a liar. He should go and read the constitution of Iran and how government is being formed, formation of government in Iran. So without much ado, I will end up here, but I have some important issue to address within 1 or 2 minutes before I leave here. First of all, thank you, all of you, for organizing this occasion, and I thank you very much for having this positive idea. But what I want to say is that yesterday something happened here which I can't say it is bad, but it is also not good. It doesn't give any credit to the university. Why am I saying this? We are here to help one another. A baby who start to walk, you can't give him all your fingers. You can't give him all your fingers. You only give him one finger so that he will hold one hand to learn how to walk. In Islam, in humanity, there is nowhere that to fight is bad. But fight for reform. Fight because you want to bring positive changes. Don't fight because you want to destroy things. That one, it will not be called fight. Everybody has a right to defend himself. Everybody has a right to fight for his interest. Either it is personal or it is social interest. Everybody has a right. But when you are fighting, use the right tool. Don't use any tool for fighting. For example, you kill mosquito like you are killing an elephant. You have wasted your energy. Kill mosquito according to the strength of the mosquito. That is why some people are hero of cotton. They will take cotton and form a hero. Then they will beat the cotton. Then they'll call themselves champion. This will never make you champion. So please, 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 I am reminding you and myself, let us find a proper way to know how to go for our right. This university doesn't depend on the school fees of the students. It doesn't depend at all. So please, 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 I will call upon Mustafa here to reorganize his members, to do their homework and see if they think that they need to apologize, they should go apologize. I'm not calling them, but if they think, they get to the conclusion that we need to apologize, then they can go apologize. because here all of us know that we are living based on stick and carrot. So if you give a carrot, you are fine. If you give a stick also, it's up to all of us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let us give him a round of applause. That was a wonderful submission. I learned a lot. The doctor took us through history and we really learned a lot. As for the latter advice, yes, we'll think about that and get back to you on that, because that is not what we are discussing here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we skipped two things on our item list. That is the introduction of the chairperson and the chairperson's opening remarks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome the Deputy Women's Commissioner, Madam Fawzia Abdul Samad Suleiman, to give us the introduction of the chairperson. With a round of applause, let us welcome her to the podium.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to all of you once again, and thank you very much for joining us here today to discuss a very important matter that affects the entire stability of the world. But my job here today is very simple, and I'm here to introduce the chairman for today's occasion. He is an Iranian scholar in theology and philosophy. He has been in the Iranian army, at the same time a lecturer in Iran and some other African countries for about 20 years. Today he serves as the president of our esteemed university, the Islamic University College, and he is in the person of Dr. Hadi Kamal Izzat. Please,
with a round of applause, let us welcome Dr. Hadi Kamal Izzat to give us his remarks.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin. Allahumma ansur al-Islam wa ahlah wa akhdhul al-kufra wa ahlah. Allahumma ansur man nasar al-din واخذل من خذل المسلمين. أهلا وسهلا بكم إخواني وأخواتي الحاضرين في هذا الحفل المبارك.
After extending the personal greeting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we also welcome all of you to this August program. We wish our best.
نبدأ بالشكر من عاملين لإقامة هذا الحفل، وأيضا نشكر بجزيل الشكر من حاضرين ضيوفنا الكرام مستر كواسي برات وأستاذ العزيز شيخ أنس ومن كان معه من مكتب إمام الشيعة الحاضرين في هذا الحفل.
He is thanking the organizers of this program, the SMG collective and IUC and the external SMG membership. And also he welcomes comrades Basif Fat Jr. and also Mr. Alessandro, Madam Ajia Murjana, and all of us in this program. And he wishes her the best.
في زمن حياتنا الحوادث مختلفة وغيرها، وفي كل حادثة لنا فرصة الرشد والتعالي أو فرصة الصعود أو فرصة للسقوط. أي في كل أمر لنا طريق الحق وطريق الباطل، وهذا في أيدينا انتخاب الحق أو انتخاب باطل.
The President is drawing our mind to any occasion or any event that happens, either accidentally or planned, that there are two things to learn from anything that happens in our life, and that is either we take the right path, meaning after anything that happens, we have the right to learn the right thing, we also have the right to learn the wrong thing. But the recommendable one, I think any of you or all of you here will say that it is to take the right path.
مثل واقعة الكربلاء، إذا جاء الإمام إلى أرض الكربلاء كان الناس على قسمين، قسم مع الحق مع الحسين وقسم مع الباطل وعلى هدف الحسين.
Now, the President is drawing our minds to the massacre of Karbala. What happened there, the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandchild of the Prophet, and his own followers. He said over there, it is very clear, even non-Muslims, people like Nelson Mandela and the rest, they've written a lot about this event. Sorry. That over there were two things, there were two separate days, the day of the righteousness and the day of evil. So anyone who knows about this story will surely know this, and it is something that continues till date.
فالآن الحاضرين في هذا الجلسة هم ينتخبون، لهم اختيار جبهة الحق ومقاومة، ونحن نقول صريحا بلا مجاملة الحق معنا ونحن فائزون ونحن ناجحون إن شاء الله، وكل جبهة المقاومة. نحن في أسف لما وقع لأهل لبنان والغزة والإيران واليمن والعراق وأفغانستان، وكل بلد كان مسلما أو غير مسلم مظلوما في ظلم أهل الكفر، وليس الفرق مهم لنا هذا الشخص مسلم أو غير مسلم، مهم لنا هو مظلوم أو هو محروم أو كذا. فالآن هذا هو لنا فرصة مجيء إلى الحق والحركة على مقاومة في مقابلة أهل الباطل. نسأل الله لنا ولكم دوام التوفيق إن شاء الله في طريق الحق ووصول إلى النجاح إن شاء الله. نسأل الله تعالى، وأيضا نسأل الله تعالى فرج إمام زماننا، ونسأل الله تعالى أن نكون معه إن شاء الله في قيامه ونصرته. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
In summary, the President said all of me or all of those present here are on the right path, in the sense that looking at this program, it has been organized in solidarity with those who have been oppressed, those in Palestine, those in Lebanon, those in Yemen, and currently in Iran, and all oppressed people around the globe. So because of that, we are on the right path, and he's praying for us to continue being on the right path and also be with the Messiah when it is time for him. So in summary, this is what he said, and he is saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. We can do better. We can do better for the President. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take our next presenter in the person of Mr. Anas Sandu. Please let us welcome him with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Well, I am given a topic regarding resistance, the doctrine of resistance, and Iran's foreign policy and opposition to global hegemony. So, when you look at the concept of resistance, it is something that has been there before human history. Resistance is an immutable component of human existence. Even within your family, you find resistance. You find somebody or some people resisting against the iniquities of others. You find a brother resisting another brother. You find a community resisting against another community. So in a nutshell, resistance is an immutable component of human existence. It is something that will continue to be there till the end of history. So resistance generally involves resisting foreign influence, that is at the state level. Resistance involves the rejection of foreign influence, especially when that foreign influence is coercive, is intimidating. For example, a situation where America or any of the European countries. Let me just bring a precise example. You know, there was a time, I don't know whether you are following, you were able to follow those developments. You know, there was a time when the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, warned Ghana and other African countries to accept same-sex relations or lose aid. Can you remember? Can you remember? Once upon a time, the British Prime Minister warned Ghana to accept same-sex relations or lose aid or lose foreign aid. It means the foreign aid they've been given to us, if we want to continue enjoying those foreign aids, we should accept same-sex relations. So that is what? That is an intimidating, coercive foreign policy. A situation whereby another country wants to impose its own ideas on another state. So, and then the then president was who? Who was who? Thank you. So we all saw how Atta Mills strongly told David Cameron that if Ghana is going to accept your foreign aid in return for the implementation of what? Same-sex relations, then we don't want your foreign aid. So that is resistance. So resistance generally involves a situation where a country, a state, rejects foreign influence, especially when that foreign influence is intimidating. At the same time, resistance involves challenging the existing global structures. For example, you know, the United Nations Security Council, it is one of the organs of the United Nations, the United Nations Security Council. It was established, that is why it is called the Security Council. It was established to maintain peace, security, and cooperation around the world. But unfortunately, you realize that wherever there is a war, wherever there is a mass killing, conscious, premeditated, organized killing of human beings, you realize that it is what? Organized or orchestrated by what? One or two members of the United Nations Security Council. Like the ongoing war, the ongoing aggression imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran by the United States and then the Zionist regime. The United States is a member of the United Nations Security Council, but it is embarking on an illegal war. So, Iran is what? Iran is resistant, isn't it? So, resistance also involves challenging the existing global power structures, like the United Nations Security Council, like the IMF, like the World Bank, like the International Atomic Energy Agency, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, resistance also involves a situation where one adopts a particular strategy to confront what? Western European or American imperialism. So far, in the nutshell, that is just a brief definition of resistance. So resistance in the nutshell involves adopting what? Self-reliance, independence, resilience over what? Over dependency. So from time immemorial to this contemporary world, resistance has functioned as a cornerstone of the foreign policy of individual sovereign leaders, states and institutions. For example, if we look at states like China, Cuba under Fidel Castro, the Democratic Republic of the Congo under Patrice Lumumba, Ethiopia, Guinea under Ahmed Sékou Touré, and then Mozambique under Samora Machel, Ghana under Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You realize that these were leaders who have what? Played a tremendous role in resisting Western European imperialism on the continent of what? Africa. So that was a clear-cut rendition of what? Resistance exhibited by these leaders. If you want to understand comprehensively the practical aspect of resistance, then you look at the life history of these leaders. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our own, Africa's own, Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, Nelson Mandela, and so on and so forth. So one country around the world that has succeeded in resisting American and Western European impact, coercive, intimidating impact, is the Islamic Republic of Iran for almost half a century. Because resistance has served, or resistance has been the virtual womb that incubated the very foundation of the Islamic Republic of Iran and its foreign policy of what? Resistance. And this philosophy of resistance was as a result of the contribution of Ayatollah Ruhullah al-Mustafawi, Imam Khomeini, and then succeeded by the late Supreme Leader, Al-Sayyid Al-Shahid, Aliyul Hussainiyul Khamenei. And these two exemplary models remain a celebrated global icon and the architects of resistance for the rest of the countless centuries yet to come. There are three fundamental factors that underpinned Iran's foreign policy of resistance. Number one is what? Resistance against domination. resistance against domination, resistance against secular concepts of the international order, politics and culture, and then the attainment of global preeminence through economic, scientific, technological, and military self-sufficiency. So these are the three fundamental factors that underpinned the foreign policy of the Islamic Republic of Iran since 1979. And you know as well as I do that the pursuit of dominance through coercion and reckless behavior has been the primary preoccupation of the United States and some Western European states. Unlike the Republic of China, have you ever heard that China has invaded another country? Have you ever heard that the United States has invaded another country? Yes. So why is it so? So this is to tell you that coercion, intimidation, belligerence, war by hook or crook has been the primary preoccupation of the United States and some Western European countries in order to satisfy their own internal and strategic foreign policy ambitions. So that is why you realize that the United States has decided to launch an illegal military campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran, knowing very well that there is no any tangible reason for embarking on this illegal military campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran. So, you know, in the earlier stage, Iran has suffered sanctions for almost 4.5 decades. Whenever there is a sanction imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran by the United States and some EU group of countries, Iran will counter that particular sanction with what? Resistance. So Donald Trump came to power in his first term and imposed what he meant by maximum pressure campaign. So initially, Iran responded to the what? To the sanctions imposed on the good people of the Islamic Republic Iran with what? Resistance. So Trump came and embarked on what? Maximum pressure, economic pressure campaign, and Iran also responded or confronted that maximum pressure campaign with maximum resistance. To tell you that whatever tactics, whatever mechanism they adopt to deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran, Iran has already devised ways and manners of confronting that particular evil foreign policy agenda of the United States and then the Zionist regime. So strategically, the United States has surrounded Iran. Iran shares border with almost 15 countries in the Middle East, in West Asia. And almost all the 15 countries are composed of military bases of the United States to surround Iran so that if there is a future war like what is ongoing, so that the United States can comprehensively deal with Iran militarily. So when Iran realized that we are being surrounded by our number one enemy and by the enemy of humanity, Iran had only one state that was supporting its internal and foreign policy, and that was the regime of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. So Iran decided to rely on Bashar al-Assad, and then Iran decided to empower Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah is not a state, it's a political party with a paramilitary wing, and that particular military was more stronger than even the state army of the Arab Republic of Lebanon to confront the Zionist regime and then the United States. And then Iran also formed Al-Hajj al-Sha'bi, that is the Popular Mobilization Front in Iraq, another paramilitary wing, very, very strong to counter any foreign aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then we have the Houthis in Yemen. So all these axes of resistance serve as a bulwark against the evil machinations of the Zionist regime of Israel and the United States of America. And it is working because only the Houthis in Yemen, they are a powerful force to reckon with because they can disrupt global oil and energy supplies in in international waters, as we've been witnessing. So the second issue that underpins Iran's foreign policy has to do what? Has to do with resistance against Western concepts of the international order, politics, and culture. And what is the international order? You know, the nation, you know, the entire the entire structure of the international, you know, we are dealing with states, isn't it? We have Ghana, we have Togo, we have Burkina Faso. There is no place that you go and it is not a country, isn't it? We have countries, isn't it? It wasn't like that. So the nation state system is the only principle of contemporary world order that has survived for over 300 years. For over 300 years. And its evolutionary aim was to prevent the insulation, the merging, the combination of faith, religion, and diplomacy in the study and conduct of international relations and foreign policy. So that is why if you cast a glance at the structure of the contemporary international system, you realize that prior to the emergence of the Islamic Republic of Iran, that is in 1979, the secular concept had for a very long period of time prevented individuals, states, and institutions from accommodating global pluralism. I will explain. For example, the secular narrative is based on the concept of popular sovereignty, in the sense that, you know, Ghana, we have our borders, isn't it? We have our borders, isn't it? When you are going to Aflao, you have a border that tells you that this is the end of Ghana, isn't it? When you are going to around Kulunguhu, you reach to a particular place that tells you that this is the end of Ghana, the next state is Burkina Faso. When you are going to Elobo, you reach to a particular place that tells you that this is the end of Ghana, and the next territory is what? The Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, and so on and so forth. So the secular narrative is based on the concept of popular sovereignty. Each particular country has a leader. We have His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He is a sovereign leader. He is a sovereign leader of the country. And Ghana has a sovereignty. It's a sovereign nation. So the the secular narrative is based on the concept of popular sovereignty. But the Islamic Republic of Iran came and changed this particular idea. The Islamic Republic adopted the principle of wilayatul faqih, that is guardianship by the jurist, where the high-ranking Islamic jurist assumes legislative, executive, and judicial powers, regulating the conduct of the people of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the absence of Imam al-Mahdi, Ajalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. And then at the same time, the secular concept, in the secular concept, the people are sovereign. For example, in Ghana, sovereignty lies in the people because we elect our leaders, isn't it? But the Islamic Republic also brought an idea which is in sharp contradiction or in sharp contrast to this particular principle. So in Iran, sovereignty is vested in Allah. And you see, one interesting thing about this particular issue is that every country every state, every sovereign entity should be allowed to adopt a particular system that befits its sovereign status, isn't it? You can see what is going on in Burkina, isn't it? It is now being ruled by what? A military junta, isn't it? And Burkina Faso is functioning well, isn't it? Than even the past democratic leaders. Because the past democratic leaders were what? Were corrupt. But with the assumption of Ibrahim Traoré, and then Colonel Assimi Goïta in Mali, and then the junta in Niger, you can see that they have been able to regulate, to hold the country more effective than even the past democratic leaders. So that tells you that the secular concept of democracy is not necessarily the best form of government for every country. So each and every country should be allowed to practice, to adopt a particular system, a particular model of governance to regulate the conduct of its own internal affairs without any intimidation. No country should stand far, far away to what? To dictate to another sovereign country like what the United States of America and Israel are doing. Because you can see that Israel has nuclear weapons, but it is telling the Islamic Republic of Iran not to what? Not to manufacture nuclear weapons. So that is the level of injustice. That is why the Islamic Republic of Iran realized that the only doable alternative, the only mechanism to counter Western imperialism is what? Resistance. Economic resistance, military, and then political resistance. So this, what do you call it, this vision of Iran was quickly transformed into a constitutional commitment. And then the system of governance in Iran changed from a monarchy to an Islamic Republic of Iran. For almost 4.5 decades now, it is still being, what do you call it, confronted by challenges posed by the United States and then the Zionist regime of Israel. So I already said it, I wouldn't take much of your time. So what do you call it, to discover the reality which is prepared to manifest itself, we are all students of knowledge. We are all students of knowledge. So we should not restrict our understanding, our study, to only the various courses we have come here to pursue: business administration, religion, communication, nursing, or what. Try your best to also delve into global issues to understand what is going on. And I use this humble media. I thank you so much for your attention, and may the Almighty Allah be with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better. That was a wonderful submission. Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Sando. That was really, really wonderful and amazing. Our next presenter is our favorite, Comrade Kwesi Pratt. But before that, I am told to do a short poetry on this issue, so permit me to take you through. From Tehran streets rose a voice of resistance against foreign control and global domination. A nation shaped by fire, sacrifice, and conviction, standing through pressure, blockade, and sanctions. Empires arrived with promises and deception, seeking oil, power, profit, and occupation. But Iran answered back with fearless opposition, turning pain into purpose and revolution. Across the region, echoes grew, information, voices demanding freedom and liberation. From Palestine's cries to Lebanon's awakening, the drums of resistance never stopped beating. Though Critics speak of conflict and division. Supporters still praise Iran's determination. Through sanctions, threats, and endless targeting, its people continue to endure and stand. History remembers every invasion and every people who fought against domination, whether through struggle, sacrifice, or suffering. The fight against imperialism keeps rising. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So, history would remember you and I if we keep fighting against imperialism. Let me tell you a funny story. So, I have this low quality picture on my phone. It is in my favorite. When you check on my phone, that picture is on my favorites. It is a picture with Comrade Kwesi Pratt. I took the picture when I was in level 100. When my classmates saw the picture, Charlie, they laughed at me because of the quality of that picture. However, that picture is still in my favorite because of how I admire this comrade of ours. He is a wonderful person, and his knowledge in this political and national crisis cannot be measured. I am boring you, so let me just welcome Comrade Kwesi Pratt to speak to us on the topic Iran and the Global South, Solidarity, Alliances, and the Politics of Anti-Imperialism. Ladies and gentlemen, with a loud round of applause, welcome Comrade Kwesi Pratt.
Yeah. Sorry, to add to whatever the MC just said, we are not limiting comrades, please. Though that is the topic we prefer, but we are not limiting. Thank you so much.
The President of the Islamic University, other panelists, and all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank the authorities of this university for allowing us to establish one of the most vibrant and effective, collectives on this campus. The Islamic University Collective of the Socialist Movement of Ghana has done a lot of work, and we highly appreciate the work that has been done on this campus. Indeed, what we are doing today is part of the work that this collective has been doing, and we are most grateful for your participation in these discussions and so on. We are discussing imperialism. And I think it's important first and foremost for us to define what imperialism is. Imperialism is a system of domination, it's a system of exploitation, it's a system that holds down other people in order for others to thrive. It has a very long history. We can begin to trace our history of an attempt by imperialism to subjugate us all the way back to hundreds of years. We can trace that history to the transatlantic slave trade, in which our forebears were captured as beasts of burden and made to work without pay for the building of the Western capitalist states. We can trace that also to the era of classical colonialism, where our resources were seized in order to build the capitalist states of the West today. And we can still trace that to the beginnings of the current neo-colonial era, in which, even though France, Britain, Germany, and so on do not have governors here, they still continue to manipulate and to control our resources. It is this system of imperialism that Iran has been resisting actively for more than 40 years. And it is this system of imperialism that has imposed the current unjust war on the government and people of Iran. And we stand in full solidarity with the people of Iran in their just resistance against the oppressive war which has been imposed upon them by the United States of America. And our stand is simple. Over the last 40 years, the United States of America and its allies have done everything and anything possible in order to cripple the Iranian revolution so that they can take control of its oil resources, so that they can take control of Iran in order to solve the mounting problems of the imperialist countries. It's important to recognize that today, the United States of America is nothing but a shadow of itself. Indeed, if you take, for example, the railway system in the United States of America, it has simply collapsed. The United States of America today does not have any fast railway system. Its railway system is way behind that of China, way behind that of North Korea, and way behind that of Russia and so on. The railway system in the United States of America has simply collapsed. Its national infrastructure is also on the verge of collapse, and experts say that the United States actually needs to rebuild its roads and bridges if they are not to collapse in the near future. It's important also to note that today, poverty in the United States has risen to a very alarming proportions. So even in the US capital, you find many people who are homeless, many people who cannot afford to eat, many people who are able to go to hospital when they fall sick. And studies by United States citizens, including Michael Moore, have established that Cuba has a more advanced health system than the United States of America. This is a country in very deep crisis. And this country, which is in very deep crisis, indeed last week, the United States debt, the United States government's debt, passed the 36 trillion mark, $36 trillion mark. And it was established last week that the United States debt is far bigger than its gross domestic product. This is a country which cannot produce enough for itself and has embarked upon the adventure of conquering the world in order to solve its internal problems. With specific regard to Iran, the US and its allies have done many things in their attempt to, in their view, collapse the Iranian revolution. And one of the things that they did was to sponsor Iraq, then under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, to wage war on the Iranian people. Indeed, Iraq and its sponsors were massively defeated in that war which was launched by Iraq against the Iranian people. It's important also to note that over the years, the US and Israel and some of their allies have tried even to kill Iranian scientists. So Iranian scientists have been murdered on many occasions. They've attacked bombs to their cars, they've exploded their cars and killed them. Now, why would any country be interested in killing another country's scientists? And I think it's an important issue that we need to address. One of the excuses that has been used in launching the aggression against the Iranian people is the claim that Iran wants to produce nuclear weapons. Now, this claim is obviously false because as we speak, Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. Everybody knows that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. The International Atomic Agency has certified that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. Iran is a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Iran's nuclear facilities are open to inspection and so on. And there's no evidence that Iran has produced a nuclear weapon. On the other hand, the United States has stockpiles of nuclear weapons, and Israel has stockpiles of nuclear weapons. So if the production and storing of nuclear weapons is a crime, then obviously Iran, the United States and its allies are clearly the criminals and not the Iran. And yet persistently, this excuse has been used against the Iranian people in spite of the fact that the Iranians have actually declared a fatwa on the production and storage of nuclear weapons. In spite of that, they continue to insist that Iran is on the verge of the production of a nuclear weapon. And that has become some kind of excuse for this reckless attack on Iran. It's important also in looking at Iran and its resistance against imperialism to note that today Iran is under attack not just because of the flimsy excuse, the unjustifiable excuse that it is about to produce a nuclear weapon, but also because Iran is at the center of the axis of resistance against the Zionist entity. Now, what is the Zionist entity? All of us do know that by the end of the Second World War, 1945, Jews have been dispersed across the world. And the British, who were then the colonial authority in Palestine, decided to give the Zionist movement part of Palestinian land to establish the state of Israel. And that came with the Balfour Declaration. Now, it's important to note that the Zionist movement, which led the establishment of the state of Israel, most of its leaders were atheists. They did not believe in God. Okay, they were atheists. And yet, it is claimed today that the land that Israel occupies and beyond was given to them by God. Now that's extremely interesting. If you don't believe that God exists, how can God then give you land when he does not exist? But this contradiction has been ignored, and the Israelis have continued to wreak havoc, not just on the people of Palestine, but throughout the region. Indeed, since the October 7th war, it is claimed that as many as 80,000 Palestinians have been killed. The actual estimate ought to be more than 80,000 Palestinians, because the 80,000 Palestinians are bodies which have actually been counted, dead bodies which have actually been counted. The bodies which have not been retrieved from the rubble have not been counted. They cannot be counted. They cannot be accounted for. So more than 80,000 Palestinians have been killed in this reckless war of aggression by the Zionist entity. It's important to note that of this 80,000 who have been killed, 2/3 of them are women and children. It's also important to note that before the emergence of Hezbollah in Lebanon, Israel was occupying the southern parts of Lebanon. And it is the resistance of Hezbollah which led to the expulsion of Israel from the southern part of Lebanon. Israel has attempted virtually to occupy all parts of the Gulf and the Middle East in its dream of establishing a greater Israel. And Israel is largely responsible for the current instability in Syria and so on. Now, Iran is being attacked because Iran has provided support for all of these forces in the Middle East fighting against Zionist expansion, Zionist dictatorship, and Zionist control of their resources. Before this last war, the United States of America and Israel had attacked Iran, and they had claimed that they had managed to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities and that Iran would never be able to revive its nuclear facilities. That is why it is so strange that only a few months after the first attack, they are launching a second attack also aimed at making sure that Iran's nuclear facilities can never be revived. Clearly, the first attempt did not destroy Iran's nuclear facility, did not achieve the objectives that they set for themselves. Be that as it may, this war has been launched with devastating consequences on the world. And I'm sure that all of you know that there's no part of the world that is not suffering the effects of the senseless aggression being waged by Israel and the United States of America. Crude oil prices have shot up, and it's not just crude oil prices which have shot up. We do know that a lot of fertilizer passes through the Strait of Hormuz, so world agriculture is likely to suffer. We do know that even pharmaceutical products passes through the Strait of Hormuz and so on. So the consequences on the world are grave and serious. When Donald Trump's attention is drawn to the fact that the American people are suffering, and that because the American people are suffering, he's likely to lose the midterm elections, his response is very simple. He says he does not care about the suffering of the American people, and that he's more concerned about stopping Iran from possessing nuclear weapons than the suffering of his people. Now this is interesting. This is interesting because before the war was launched on Iran, the Americans and the Israelis had supported those Iranians who were legitimately protesting against the rise in prices in Iran. Legitimate grievance, okay? And they had promised to bring them relief. Now, if the Americans and the Israelis cannot bring relief to their own people, how do they bring relief to the Iranian people? In any case, the situation, the economic situation in Iran is the result of sabotage by the United States and its allies, especially Israel. You cannot impose sanctions on a country, you cannot sabotage the economy of a country and expect prices to come down. So those who are protesting in Iran against rising prices and so on ought to have directed their protests against the major powers who are responsible for the escalating prices in Iran, but they didn't. It is interesting that some Iranian citizens were actually willing to betray their own country, and they daydreamed that one day the United States of America would save them along with Israel. Today, it is clear that their dreams would never come true. Today, many of them are beginning to realize that the real enemy is the Zionists, the real enemy is imperialism, and the real enemy is the United States of America. One of the very first strikes involving the use of Tomahawk missiles actually struck a girls' school. More than 100 school children were killed in the process. None of these school children was a minister in the Iranian government. None of these school children was a religious leader. These were innocent children who were killed. Today, as a result of this senseless war of aggression waged by the Zionists and the Americans, the Iranian situation is getting worse. Prices are skyrocketing. Iran is not able to sell its oil and so on. So, war of aggression, the war of the imperialists, has proven that it cannot resolve the concrete problems of the Iranian people, and that only the Iranian people, under the revolutionary leadership, can change the situation of the Iranian people and advance forward. As we speak, America has lost the war. It is obvious that America has lost the war. America has been totally disgraced in this war because none of the objectives that the Americans set with the Israelis have been achieved. They claimed that they wanted regime change. There has been no regime change in Iran. And indeed, Donald Trump, in a desperate attempt to please the American people, or a small section of the American people, that the war aims have been achieved, says that there has been regime change in Iran. And when asked what regime change really is, he points to the few leaders that they massacred, that they killed against international law and so on. So there's been no regime change in Iran. Iran continues to thrive. Iran is doing all in its power to ensure that nobody bullies it, no country bullies Iran. That objective of the war has been totally defeated. As of last night, the Americans were still begging for the Iranians to stop their nuclear enrichment program, and the Iranians have said, to hell with you. It will not happen. Nothing will compel us to exercise our legitimate right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes, and Iran has refused. Donald Trump has been shouting all over the place that the Iranian position is unacceptable. But unlike a couple of months ago, when he was threatening hell and brimstone, now he says that war does not look like a feasible option because they have tasted pepper. They've seen the strength of the Iranian people, and they know that it is adventurous for them to try that. As Sandoz said, the preparation for this war has lasted more than 40 years. The Americans have been building bases in the Gulf. They have been trying to surround Iran so that in event of war, they were going to mobilize all the resources they had in the region against Iran. In this last war, Iran has completely destroyed 16 military bases of the United States of America in the Gulf, to the extent that at one point, the Americans were operating blindly because their satellite systems had been completely destroyed. Indeed, some of the most sophisticated aircraft of the United States of America have been destroyed in this war. And today, the United States of America is much, much weaker in the Gulf region than it has ever been for the last 40 years. Donald Trump and his advisors have been boasting that they have completely crippled the Iranian Navy, that there's nothing like the Iranian Navy anymore. They've destroyed the Iranian armed forces and they can do as they please. They have imposed a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. And a couple of days ago, when they tried to reinforce that blockade, the United States Navy came under heavy fire from the Iranian Navy. And indeed, the United States Navy vessels had to run away from the fight. Clearly, the United States has not been able to achieve its objective of subduing the Iranian Revolution and bringing the resistance in the region to its knees. And it will never be able to do that. Today, we of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, we want to declare our full solidarity with the people of Iran and to tell the people of Iran and the government of Iran that we stand shoulder to shoulder with them in this bold confrontation with imperialism. No matter what happens, we shall build a new world of equal nations, a new world in which no nation dictates to the other what its domestic policy should be, a new world in which the resources of different countries will belong to their people and will be exploited for the benefit of their people. We, together with Iran, together with China, and together with all the anti-imperialist forces, will build a new world in which nobody, no country, no people will be subordinate to the other. This is our task, and we will succeed in building this new world. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better for Comrade Kosi Pratt. Thank you so much for the wonderful submission. Thank you so much for breaking down such complex topics to our level of understanding. Wow. So allow me to acknowledge the presence of some, wonderful people that have joined us. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our hardworking SRC Vice President. She doubles as the Speaker of the Students' Parliament, Islamic University College, Ghana, Madam Sueba Uthman. Please give us a wave. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of our hardworking amazing SRC president. He's also the majority leader, Student Parliament Islamic University, CEO and founder of Pearson Tech. He is in the person of Honorable Mustafa Musa. Please give us a wave. Thank you, Mr. President. We have also been joined by the Deputy Women's Commissioner of TAIN, Madam Rafiatu Isaako. Please give us a wave. Thank you. We have the WUCOM for TAIN, also Madam Umi. Please give us a wave. Thank you. We also have the Treasurer for TAIN, Madam Khairia, also a member and an executive of SMG. Please give us a wave. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have the EC boss amongst us. He's also the chief of Dagbon, Mole Dagbon, Islamic University College, Ghana. Please give us a wave. Naba, thank you for joining us. We have the organizing secretary, SRC. Please give us a wave. Thank you. Of course, how can I forget the money man himself? We have the minority leader, the little minority, Islamic University Financial Secretary Yunus Zakaria. Please give us a wave. We have our Deputy General Secretary, also the Communications Director TAIN, in the person of Uthman Salifu. Please give us a wave. Thank you. We have Deputy General Secretary TAIN, Madam Hassana. Please give us a wave. Thank you. We have the Entertainment Secretary, the current best coach in Islamic University College, Ghana, Aliwa Abbas Rida. Please give us a wave. Thank you. He's also the vetting committee boss. Thank you for joining us here today. We have Deputy PRO, Islamic University College, Ghana, Madam Mustanira Fuseni. Please give us a wave. Thank you for joining us here. Yes, I believe that should do it. So we are going to be taking some questions, contributions, and any submissions you have. But before that, I have been instructed to call on two people. So I'll call on the first person. Please, I'm giving you just 2 minutes to make your contributions and submissions. Mr. Bruce Ajaho, please, with a round of applause, let us welcome him here. Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Chair. I recall Obama, our black-white man. Obama came to Africa and told us Africa needs strong men. Africa does not need strong men, but strong institutions. Hello? Yes, he said Africa does not need strong men, but strong institutions. And that was to show that Obama has some respect for the rule of law. But what happened to Libya? What happened to Syria? And what happened to all these countries that have oil? They have never intervened in the cases of countries where there's no oil. So, ladies and gentlemen, I put down a poem to address the American syndrome. Are you ready for the poem? Yes. It says, Africa does not need strong men. Africa needs strong institutions. This was the voice of hypocrisy. Trying to sell to us their so-called democracy sounds like the second Christianity, serving us a drink of vanity. What happened to the strong institutions? The strong institutions of the United Nations, when NATO bombed Libya. Take a look at Syria, and yet preach to us the law. Oh, Mother Maria. From Canada came a tacit confession in transit, admitting their supremacy over the law. The goalpost gets shifted when the laws are invoked. The black-white man Obama come again, preach to us your homosexuality, the rule of law, but we see your hungry claw. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. That was pure art and precision. Thank you, Mr. Ajaho. And we will take also a 1-minute submission from Mr. Badr. Please join us here. With a round of applause, let us welcome Comrade Badr.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't waste much of your time. Just call me Comrade. That's what the Mr. titles. I'm not used to. Anyway, comrades and friends, our speakers have dealt with the issue of Iran. And one of the reasons why we have aggression in the Middle East is because of the military power of the United States. Let's be very honest. The US spend over 800 billion Ghana cedis every year on military. Ghana went to the IMF to seek for just 3 billion. To solve our problems, we went to seek for 3 billion. US spend 800 billion. So it tells us that they spend a lot in terms of military. Unfortunately for us, part of the 800 billion budget is spent on Ghanaian soil. Ghana shamelessly hosts the US military base. And if you recall, during the war in Iran, after the Israel and United States attacked Iran, Iran also targets their military installations in the Middle East, which is justified. Okay, they targeted countries like Saudi, like Qatar, and what have you. They didn't target the countries, but they target US assets in those countries. Unfortunately, we also have US assets. Who knows? We don't know where the US, France, and those countries will take their war next. It could be within our backyard. And if that happens, they will definitely utilize the base in Ghana here. And so, once they use the US military base in Ghana here, other countries are also justified to retaliate on Ghanaian soil. We may all fall victim of these circumstances, and we all bear the consequences of such circumstances. We must not sit down for such situation to happen before we act. That is why the Youth League of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, led by my comrade Sebastian, have begun a campaign against all foreign military bases on Ghanaian soil. And we are calling on all young people, everybody to get involved. Let's sign a petition, okay, calling on Parliament to repeal that agreement. Let me tell you some few things about that agreement. For instance, a US military man, okay, can come into our country without a passport. They just book a ticket and then they just come in straight into our country. You cannot do that in any country in the world. You can't, even a diplomat cannot enter into a country without a passport. But the US military man or military personnel has the authorization to enter our country without a passport. As if that is not enough. A US military person can walk into our country and that person will not be searched. Whether the person is coming with tramor, whether the person is coming with red, whether the person is coming with AK-47s and what have you, we cannot search such a person, posing a great risk on our country. Again, the US military have unrestricted access to our airspace, so they can fly their aircraft all over our airspace. They can fly their fighter jets all over our airspace. And if they fly a fighter jet and it mistakenly land, it may affect your house, it may affect my house. So all of us are at risk. Let me just say this last point. As if that is not enough, if by virtue of chance they fly their aircraft, their fighter jet, and it hits your house, you cannot take them to court. Ghana government cannot take them to court. Just a shegu. They've killed you free. And so, comrades and friends, we must not wait for such circumstances to happen. So we are calling on you to sign a petition. The petition is circulating around. You just scan. It takes just 5 seconds or maximum 30 seconds to sign. You just scan it and then you sign the petition. Okay. Let us talk to our friends. Let us talk to our family members. Let us talk to our religious partners. Let's get involved to kick out this U.S. military on our soil, because we are all at risk in one way or the other. Thank you very much, and then I won't waste much of your time.
Wow, thank you very much, Comrade Badr. Thank you for your submission. We are all involved. Viva socialism, viva. I believe by now our questions have been answered. So I would just like us to close, as I can see fatigue in the eyes of my people. So let me take a 2-minute solidarity message from the Deputy Administrator to the office of the Shia Imam Ghana. She is here with us, Madam Hajia Murjana. With a round of applause, let us welcome her for her 2-minute solidarity message. Thank you. Thank you, Hajia.
Assalamu alaikum. Based on the topic being discussed, resistance, I think we are all students of knowledge here. So there is something, as a student of knowledge, I'm not a student of international relations, but at least we are so curious. Sometimes we get outside our boundary. There is this issue of the kingdom that came before the revolution, stating that the revolution came to distract the kingdom of Iran, so they want to go back home. Okay, Alhamdulillah, what I'm going to say has already been said by Dr. Munir through his submission, through the history he gave us. We can see from time immemorial, land or before, before the 20th century, yes, every land is being occupied by war. And then when you occupy the land, the main people become your subordinates, right? So it was a reoccurring or a perpetual state of occurrence in a particular state. So this happened until the kingdom came. When the kingdom came, actually Imam Kumai didn't took over with his revolution. He did it because the country was unstable. The kingdom were just using the resources of Iran as theirs. As we can see, we don't need to talk much. We can go around the world as students of knowledge, as I would always say. Most of the present kingdom of states in the world are just being subjective to their family and needs, but not actually the state itself. Actually, the state is rather feeding them, right? So this is what was equally happening in Iran until the revolution came through Imam Khomeini. And I would say from a religious perspective, it's with the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that really made he took over with the state. And then, so here I would say to the kingdom, or whatever, the generation of the kingdom before the revolution, that Iran is now an Islamic state, and there's nothing they can do about it. The people in Iran are doing so well, in as much as the word story is trying to tarnish the image of Iran. Alhamdulillah, I have the opportunity to be in Iran in 2021, and one amazing thing I would always share wherever I have the opportunity was, when we went, you know, as you travel, especially the Muslim people, you need to have something we call saraba, right? Gift for family when you come back. We went to the market. It was during the era of COVID, 2021, right? So when we went to the market, unfortunately, I wasn't having enough. I had a friend who was there with her family, so she escorted me there. We went to the market to grow some stuff, and then beautifully, my money was not enough. I needed to buy more. So I promised the man I'll come back tomorrow to get the rest. And the man selling the stuff, he was like, alhamdulillah, he speaks English. And he was like, don't worry, my sister, you can have it. Anytime you can come and pay. And I'm like, wow, I'm not an Iranian, I'm a visitor. And my sister immediately was like, yeah, it's a normal thing in Iran, so you can give me the money back, take the kind of things you want, I'll bring it to him. I'm like, no, Adisa, this is not adding up for me. What if I go and I never bring him the money? And he laughed, he was like, no problem. We will die and get to Allah, like Subhanallah. It's so nice, and this isn't a story. I'm praying everybody get an opportunity to go to Iran and try this. It's so beautiful about Iranians. They are not really perfect people. We have bad people among them. But you see this humanity in them and treating people, it's really a plus for the Iranians. So I think the Iranians are not, what you call it, complaining. And the West, as my comrade, my senior, my godfather, Chrissy Brown said, there is nothing the West will do about this. One important thing I've forgotten that one. So as a student, you know, wherever you go as a motivational speaker, you want to add something to it. I don't know if you have some psychology students here. We have something, okay, alhamdulillah, very well. So you help me when I'm wrong. The, what do you call it, hierarchy state of needs. As a student, I want you guys to take it very, very important. It can guide you to life, right? We have the physiological needs, then the safety needs, the esteem needs, and then the actualization state. I'm right, thank you very much. It's been a while after school. Why I brought this is for motivation of you as students, especially women. So many times as a woman, especially like Muslim, immediately we are married, we are done, okay? But alhamdulillah, this era has changed the narrative. We want to upgrade, even getting us for a professorship, and that is a plus to us. But yet so, with this hierarchy state of need, he makes you understand who you are. I'm not a lecturer, I'm not going to lecture, but your psychology students can help you. So just go and Google the hierarchy state of need, and then establish on it and guide you through your life. It's very important. All I would end with my submission is, we pray to Allah to bring stability, harmony, peace in this world, because without peace, I don't think the world can flourish. We truly need peace. And whoever has the ideology of dunya in him or her, we pray Allah destroy him or her to have a stable mind. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. Thank you for your wonderful submission. That was short and precise. So without much ado, let us move to the closing remarks. We are receiving that from Mr. Richard Akufo-Addo. With a round of applause, let us welcome him to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrade. Distinguished speakers, respected sheikhs, comrades, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers, the Islamic University College Ghana Collective of Socialist Movement of Ghana, I wish to express our profound gratitude to every one of you for being part of this important public forum on the role of Iran in the struggle against imperialism. Today's discussion has been very insightful, thought-provoking, and educational. We have listened to perspectives that have challenged us to think critically about global justice, resistance, sovereignty, solidarity among oppressed people, and the responsibility of intellectuals and students in shaping society. We are deeply grateful to our distinguished speakers, Sheikh Dr. Munir Mustafa, Comrade Kwesi Pratt Jr., and Sheikh Anas Sando, for sharing their knowledge, experience, and convictions with clarity and depth. Your contributions have enriched this gathering immensely. To all participants, your presence and engagement demonstrates that young people and members of the public are still interested in serious discussions about our world affairs, social justice, and the future of humanity. Dialogue such as this remains essential in building informed and conscious communities. As we live here today, may we continue to promote peace, justice, intellectual honesty, unity, and respect for different views. Let us carry forward the spirit of critical thinking and constructive engagement that has characterized this forum. Finally, we thank Allah for granting us a successful and peaceful program. We also appreciate the executives, organizers, media teams, protocol officers, and everyone who contributed in diverse ways to make this event possible. With this, I officially declare the program brought to a successful close. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can do better for Richard. Please, the closing prayer. We are taking the closing prayer. We started with God. Let us end with God, please, ladies and gentlemen. The closing prayer is supposed to be led by Mercy Nana Efua Rena. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let us welcome her. Thank you.
We thank God for life and strength. And we give thanks for the success of this great event. It is our prayer, O Lord, that you heal and you heal all the wounded people, both physically and spiritually. And as we know and believe, whoever draws the machete or pulls the trigger will definitely die by it. So we know that everything that's happening is for our good. As we depart, O Lord, we ask that your presence continually stay with us and let our will be done according to yours. In the name of the Most High. Thank you.